Well, here we are tonight, gentlemen.
Let's just screw down the hatch
Yeah.
before we dive.
Yeah, sorry, we're in the submarine. We're
in.
about to dive. If you lived through the first episode, thank you. Now you're on to episode 2. Things are just dramatically improved.
Mm-hmm.
I might be a little more prepared than last time, but
I'm not really all that much more prepared, but Kyle maybe is.
yeah, I am. And tonight we have our guest, well, not our guest, our other host with us, Zach.
Ooh, thank you for that mild introduction, Kyle.
It was pretty weak, I know. I'm sorry.
Expected better, but that's all right.
He's the backbone, right? Was that the...
Zach the Backbone.
There we go.
You know.
Zach the Backbone missed the first week.
So, it's always a work in progress.
Yeah, it is. What began as an innocent conversation among friends would soon spiral out of control and later be referred to by future generations as the eighth wonder of the modern world. Mac East Second Floor Studios takes you on the journey of your lifetime as your captains, Alex the Thoughtful, Jamie the Brain, Kyle El Capitan, and Zach the Backbone present Submersion. Okay. Well, gentlemen, last time we left off talking about brown noise.
Oh, you got brown noise now?
Well,
Oh, no.
I should have brown noise now. Jamie, you want to just recap what brown noise is?
So like white noise, we were talking about sonar, and I said it wouldn't be surprising if people actually use sonar to go to sleep, because some people use like white noise, which kind of sounds like not that much, like static almost. And then other people use like brown noise, which to me sounds terrible, and I don't understand how someone would sleep using it. So that's not brown noise.
Not at all. Here's brown noise.
And it would just be going continually in your ear.
Guys,
While
I'm
you're trying
falling,
to sleep.
I'm falling asleep over here. Come on.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. We got a brown noise user over there.
Okay,
Yeah,
every time you say brown noise, I hear brown nose. That's what I hear.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, goodness. And you also said that this is the sound that makes you want to shit yourself, right?
No, I thought that
Is that the brown?
No, I thought there was something that the CIA or something had tried to develop where it was a noise that they would play and it would cause people to shit themselves. I believe that's a real thing.
The CIA was working on that?
Yeah. As like a weapon, obviously. You don't want to.
You're not gonna
You make other soldiers shit their pants, and then they can't.
Hate
Because
or
you just
don't
be
want to.
taken off guard.
Yeah.
Be like lined up.
Yeah.
Okay, I got this guy on my sights. Oh, no.
Yeah, I mean, and you'd be demoralized.
Yeah.
You're like, oh no.
Yeah. Oh, or you you could really use that as a weapon on a town. And when the tornado sirens go off every beginning of the month,
Everyone
play
just
brown
shits?
noise. You
Oh,
cripple a whole
God.
city. Oh man, Zach, sounds like you got some drinks over there.
I do. I'm actually drinking a. You might not have heard of it, but it's called Yingling, and it's
Ooh.
$7.99. So
Yingling.
It's way cheaper than the beer I'm drinking.
All right, so I don't know. Do we want to get into this week's movie?
Do we want to dive deeper
We're gonna
right now?
dive deeper into what we watched this week.
Yeah. We're about to dive deeper into Crimson Tide.
Oh yeah. So last week we had watched Phantom, which is like the homeless man's version of Crimson Tide. It's
Yes.
somewhat the same storyline, except like 1,000 times worse. And
Well, Phantom, because Crimson Tide, if people don't know, it came before Phantom did.
Yeah.
This is from 95. Phantom was 2013.
yeah.
Almost 20 years after the fact, and they couldn't make it remotely as
Even
close to good as this
yeah,
was.
It's not even close. It made me even think that when we gave it 6-inch subs, Phantom,
You
as being
regretted
pretty
it.
Good, I regretted it because I think the mistake I made is I was judging it against other bad movies, and it's a pretty
Good bad movie.
But when you compare it to something like Crimson Tide, it's like laughable. It doesn't even.
I was thinking that
compare.
too. I'm like, can I recant?
Yeah, I don't know. It's like more like maybe like a 4 or a 5-inch sub.
Yeah.
Gotta lower it. Now that we have Crimson Tide in our lives.
I know, because you talked about, are we ever going to get something that goes into the footlong category? And I was like, Crimson Tide is pretty freaking
That
awesome.
got pretty close. It's one of those
good.
movies that I could imagine just like flipping on. Crimson Tide time. I'm gonna watch Crimson Tide.
Yes, it's. I mean, we'll get to it in the ratings and all that. But
This is when Zach comes on and said, "I fucking hated it.
Yeah.
I hated this."
This is when I come on and I say I didn't watch it.
Oh,
Even though I meant to, but things got hectic, and I missed it. So
is this this is real? You did not watch Crimson
I
Tide?
did not watch it. I did not.
Well, I'm glad. So you're basically like one of the listeners now, learning from us.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm gonna play the point of the audience. So
Can I also recant? I wanted to recant my score for Phantom. Can I also recant the professionalism of this podcast that I mentioned previously? That we are now a professional unit.
Oh, because we got this makeshift studio.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's
We're
pretty
not.
awesome.
We're still not professional.
We're still down there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, I think we should probably start with the recap of the movie.
beginning, yeah.
The walkthrough.
Mm-hmm.
Starts out with a birthday party
Yeah.
for Denzel's daughter, and there's a magician there.
Wait, Kyle. Let me interject here. I did watch the first minute of it, and it started with a quote.
Oh, it did. And that quote
that
is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's a great quote.
Thank you.
Do you have it? I have it written down here.
I do not. I remember it though.
All right. The three most powerful men in the world: the President of the United States, the President of the Russian Republic, and the captain of a U.S. nuclear submarine. Tell me that's not powerful.
Now it's a little bit different. It'd be like,
And then it started a kid's birthday party.
no, I'm just
Goosebumps.
saying like the third person would be now like, oh, maybe the North Korea leader, because he can also launch nukes maybe.
I don't know. I mean, but the U.S., you got 2 out of 3 right here. It's pretty good.
Right, but okay. Well, anyways, I'm jumping
Stars
to
and
the
Stripes.
very, very end when they totally take back this quote. So,
Yeah.
not,
Oh, they do?
Not anymore. Yeah.
Oh, we'll get to that at the very end.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah,
so
we
there's a
start off with
birthday party?
Yeah, so let's spend the next hour on the birthday party, breaking
Yes.
it down in detail.
There's a lot of stuff going on. There is a magician there. I don't know if he is an Alliance-approved magician.
I would say no. I mean, he pulled Denzel's daughter out of the crowd. That was not fair. I mean, it was her birthday, and clearly he was doing that for her.
She was planted there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not good.
Yeah. Job
No.
would be disgusted by this.
So, anyways, his friend who's there, what was his name? Start with a W. Welp or something. Oh, I even wrote down all the names. To be
But
able to do
it's
this.
Viggo Mortensen.
Yeah, Viggo Mortensen sitting there.
But
Vigo's the clown.
No,
No,
Viggo's
should
his
be.
friend.
he looks very
Ed
odd
Harris.
in this movie.
You mean like a young version of Ed Harris, which I wrote down originally in my notes? Like,
Yeah.
Ed Harris also in this one. And I
Yes.
was like, wait, Ed Harris would be like a really good-looking 50-year-old man in this movie.
Well, because he was at that time.
Right.
But it's, I'm used to Viggo Mortensen with the longer hair, what the heck was Strider. And in this, he's got a buzz cut. He's a military guy. It looks kind of odd on him. I'll say that.
He looked like Ed Harris.
He did.
Maybe that's why he grew his hair out.
He's like, oh, man, look at me.
Jesus, I look too much like Ed Harris.
Just like EH. But they're at this birthday party, and the batteries are running out of Denzel's video camera because he wants to take a video of his daughter with the magician, and he runs to the kitchen to get more batteries, and they have a TV on in the kitchen because that was a big thing. You guys remember that in like the late
TVs?
90s?
I remember those.
TVs in the kitchens.
TVs in general, yeah.
Yeah. I know what a TV is.
It's really caught on. It's really weird. I thought they'd go away, and it'd just be podcasts.
the
Spoiler,
future, yeah.
spoiler, it's not. But then there's a news article on that.
A news article?
Sorry,
News report.
News report. That's right.
Yeah.
He's not deaf and just reading.
Right. But there's this news on about how a Russian Remchenko, this Russian rebel leader, has taken control of a Russian Navy yard in Vladivostok. They're like, oh shit, like this is not good. And right then, Viggo Mortensen's his pager goes off, so they're called into the Navy yard because they're both in the Navy and work on submarines. So off Denzel Washington goes to his name is being Hunter. He's
Hunter, that's right.
Yeah, he's XO Hunter, and he gets interviewed by one of the other leading men in the movie, Ramsey, Captain Ramsey.
It was played by Gene Hackman.
Gene Hackman, and he is the captain of the USS Alabama. And basically, it's all they make it. The interview is a formality.
It really is.
He's going to be on the ship.
Yeah, because he says, his last XO got appendicitis. He's like, so you're at the top of my list.
He's lying.
It was a short list.
I'm saying the
no, that's what he says.
Yeah, the appendicitis was lying.
It had to be.
We find out later that really he just wanted to get rid of him, and he's like chewed through all of his XOs, so he needed a new one, and so
I'll tell you what. Gene Hackman, every time he's on the screen in this movie, he has some amazing quotes.
Yeah.
Like this one. In the interview, horses, they're fascinating animals, dumb as a fence post, but very intuitive. In that way, they're not too different from high school girls. They might not have a brain in their head, but they do know all the boys want to fuck. It's like, what is this?
Yeah, I wonder if that's a Quentin Tarantino line. Cause
it's got to be.
Tarantino did a rewrite on this, added in quotes here and there. So I wouldn't be surprised if that was something where he.
You can tell.
Well, you can tell certain ones for sure. There's
there's one I got
references,
laid
there's
in there
Star
too.
Trek references, and and then there's references to some submarine movies, which is kind of interesting.
Other
submarine movies, and that's all Quentin Tarantino.
Yes.
So that one might be it. I remember hearing that and being like, "Whoa, that would probably not be in the movie if that was released now."
I know, because it's also. Yeah, it's really weird.
It's
like
a weird thing.
Age inappropriate type quote.
I think now, at the very least now, Denzel would laugh, but then, like, you'd be able to tell that he didn't like it. That he was uncomfortable.
He'd be hurting inside.
Yeah. Instead, they all just laughed, and they were like,
"You got us, Gene."
Yeah.
They're not on first name basis, by the way.
Yeah.
Nobody is.
So they laugh, and then he's hired, and now he's going to be the XO. So he's going to be essentially second in command, right?
Yes.
He's the other guy who has to say yes when they launch, if they were going to launch a nuclear missile. And that's the entire point of their submarine going out, is they're going on patrol out in the Pacific near Korea, and they are monitoring whether Remchenko is going to fuel the nukes. And if he starts fueling their nukes, they'll bomb them to hell, I guess.
Right, to prevent them from launching at the U.S. Because they don't know, because he's just he's a rebel guy.
He's an ultra-nationalist. He said if a single one of his people gets killed, he will kill, 900,000 people in response, kind of.
Right, he did say that.
Yeah.
And so you get a big sense of pride. I mean, when they're, I guess, getting ready to go on the ship. They they scream "Roll Tide" because they're on the USS Alabama. Gene Hackman, Captain Ramsey, sorry. He didn't mean to disrespect. He even takes a crack at the Air Force.
And everyone laughs. I love the extras in this. The extra like sailors and stuff when they have to laugh. It's like ha 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 ha.
It's just so scripted.
Yeah. That's funny because the director didn't he directed Top Gun, right?
Yes, he did.
He did.
Look at this guy.
He's making fun of his own movie then.
Yeah.
Oh, he is. Yeah. That's right.
Uh-huh.
Oh, no. Did he ever make an army movie? I don't know what Tony Scott made otherwise.
Hold on. I got a bunch of stuff that he's got listed here. All right, so some of the Tony Scott movies. We can... Hold on. We'll talk about Tony Scott here for a little bit. He's the younger brother of Ridley Scott, who, a lot of us know.
No, Kyle, we don't.
Oh, okay. Well, he's another director. Some of the other movies that he's made, like you mentioned, he made Top Gun, made Beverly Hills Cop 2, not the first one. Days of Thunder.
Tom Cruise.
Yep. The Last Boy Scout. Enemy of the State.
That's good.
Man on Fire, which I love that movie.
That's like a cult classic because I don't think it got very good reviews when it came out.
It didn't, but it's just, it's so cool because, Dakota Fanning, the little girl, gets kidnapped, and Denzel just, goes all out to get her back.
He really loved Denzel. Now
He
I'm
did.
looking at this list.
Well, I'll tell you about that in a second. And he also did Deja Vu with Denzel, Taking a Pelham 1, 2, 3.
I saw that.
Unstoppable. Denzel was the guy that he used the most in his movies. He was in 5 Tony Scott films. I think there might have been other people who were in it 4, but...
But Kyle, what happened to Tony Scott?
Wow, that sounds like you know what happened.
It was even mentioned on the last podcast.
It was.
Yeah, because he got a special thanks in Phantom, so I had talked a little bit about, rest in peace, Tony Scott.
He ended up jumping off the Vincent Thomas Bridge in San Pedro, California.
Sad.
And the thing that's really weird about it is there was a note that was found. The contents of the note were not disclosed. The coroner said that they did find antidepressants and insomnia medication in his system at the time of his death. But then also there was some kind of other report that said he did not have cancer. But then in an interview a few years after the fact, Ridley Scott said he's been battling cancer for a really long time. So it's kind of odd. You don't really know what was going on. And there were also conflicting reports about what happened on the bridge.
This is a huge bummer.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not happy right now, guys.
No, this podcast is supposed to be fun about Crimson Tide and submarines.
And now it's about this. Actually,
just
in
suicide.
the last podcast, too, there was another guy who killed himself.
Well, that was a character.
Well, that was a character. It wasn't an actual thing. But
It's like saying that 7 people die in this movie, and that's also equally sad, but it's not.
No, it's not, because they're just actors.
Steve Zahn.
Well, not
Steve Zahn,
because they're actors.
right.
But
Steve Zahn didn't actually die. He just died in this movie.
I originally, when I was creating the stars who were in this movie, I have Steve Zahn on here. You'll see, because I didn't realize how minor of a role he was.
Sure.
He's on screen for less than a minute.
It's
total.
it's a little bit like Ryan Phillippe. This is his debut movie for Ryan Phillippe, and you can't even. He's in the background of some scenes. I think. I don't think you can even see him, but obviously now his name would float up a little higher.
Yes,
people would mention it and stuff.
Well, because of Saving Silverman.
I got a good Steve Zahn fact for later. So.
Do you?
Oh yeah.
All right, we can't wait.
You're actually Steve Zahn.
This is what I do now.
Things aren't going so well.
Yeah. Please, I have a GoFundMe page.
Please help.
All right, so they're just getting onto the submarine. Thank God. We spent way too much time off that sub.
Agreed. I even checked. It was 15 minutes before we even got on the sub.
While we're getting on the sub, we get introduced to some other characters. You kind of get introduced to James Gandolfini's character, who seems to be a little bit crass, a little bit in your face, and he's not great.
Him and Mortensen were talking about the sub movies.
Right.
And he's the one, he kind of screams at that guy.
He screams at the guy, makes him do push-ups and stuff.
On the bus.
And yeah. So you right away, you're kind of like, okay, Gandolfini's kind of the loud Kyle-type character, maybe we'd say.
Thanks
right.
a lot.
And then Viggo Mortensen's kind of the even-keel, clean-cut guy. Who else do you have on there? You have the communications guys, Zimmer,
who is...
And
I'm sure you got IMDb facts for later, so...
Okay, yeah. He's in what is he? Is he Meatballs or something?
Meatballs? What are you talking about?
Anyways.
Swedish Chef?
No. Anyways. But you're introduced to the characters. You kind of get a sense that Hackman is this hard ass.
Because he is.
Yeah, and he is going to make his life miserable. All the Exos have quit or been relieved of their duties and stuff like that. So, we know Denzel's in for some fun. And so then we get onto the sub, and they start their days out at sea.
Mm-hmm. This actually starts with, it's kind of it's a good moment because they're sailing out and there's a sunset, and Ramsey says, he looks at Denzel, and they're looking at this beautiful sunset, and he's like, this is the best, and he hands him a cigar, and Denzel's trying to smoke it. He's like, this is your first one, isn't it? He said, yep. And coughs through it, and he says, good, don't get addicted to these or something. They're more expensive than drugs.
Yeah. And he also says, you know when to shut up. I like you. When to shut up. Which, throughout the beginning of this film, you get the sense that Gene Hackman hired Denzel because he thought he would be a pushover.
He did, because he wasn't battle tested.
He was never really. He went to Harvard. He's this academic guy. Everything has been theory. It hasn't been action. So he assumes, this guy is going to be wilt under my power. Yes. And will just do whatever I say. And so you have all these moments like that one where he's sitting all quiet at the sunset, and he goes, I like this. You're basically shutting your mouth. Mm-hmm. Little do we know that almost right after that we have a dinner scene.
It's very tense.
Very tense. And he challenges Denzel, him and Gandolfini really. They're kind of talking about the idea of nuclear war. And Gandolfini's like, what are you, a communist, not wanting to launch nukes, preemptive strike, kind of all this stuff.
Oh, but they were talking about the nukes strapped on Japan.
Right, yeah. And Denzel kind of goes right at Hackman with kind of the newer age theories. I don't even know if that's true. Some different theories of war.
I wish I took a nuclear war theory class in college. That would have been amazing.
But he kind of says like, oh, well, what do you mean? Like, you're kind of going after your greatest. You go after your greatest enemy. What's so hard about that? And Denzel's like, yeah, but that's the thing with the nuclear age. Our greatest enemy is no longer our enemy. It's war itself. So it kind of becomes this,
he has a phenomenal quote there.
Yeah, so he has like a different idea of what it means to go to war in the nuclear age. It's different than what maybe Gene Hackman had been trained under.
His exact quote from there was, "The purpose of war is to serve a political end, but the true nature of war is to serve war itself."
Right. So that was how he kind of said the quote about war by some philosopher, right?
And he also said, "In the nuclear world, the true enemy cannot be destroyed.
Right.
My humble opinion, in the nuclear world, the true enemy is war itself."
Right. It's pretty powerful stuff.
It is. And I mean,
It's not
there's
as-
a lot of really good quotes in this movie.
It's almost as deep as when they drop those oranges in Phantom.
Dude, the literal metaphor.
Right.
Yeah. Because these are just
This one's like
thought-provoking.
right. This one's more about like dropping bombs, like whatever. But like dropping oranges, that would suck. You have to pick up all those oranges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be cool
That'd be cool,
to drop oranges and bombs.
and then have to pick them up.
Yeah.
Right.
Zach, this sounds like some Fred Curry type stuff, doesn't it?
Fred Curry, dude. FFC, it does. Philosophy class.
All right,
This is
cool.
a reference I
That
don't
really had
know.
nothing. That really had nothing to do with anything.
I don't know.
You
I
just
got
listed
jeans.
off some stuff.
I got you.
Yeah. All right. We took a philosophy class.
Guy was blind as a bat.
He was. Fred Curry. He was a great teacher. I really liked him.
Rest in peace.
He is not dead. There's no way. He was only like 30 when he taught us. All right, so you're on the sub. We have the tense dinner scene, and then
Yeah. So they get
a fire breaks out.
Yeah. So I think in the end, like the idea of the dinner scene is to kind of say like, he's definitely not a pushover, and I think Hackman is nervous at this point, and this is where the tensions again ratcheted up by this fire that breaks out. So a big fire breaks out in the kitchen, and Denzel rushes down there, going through the drill of putting out this fire. One of the guys down there is really injured during trying to fight the fire. They get it under control, but right when they get it under control, Ramsey's like, or Gene Hackman is like, time to run a different drill, basically the launch code drill.
Yes.
This really intense drill, and Denzel is like, "What the hell is he doing? It's basically this fire can spark up again any time. This is insane." So he goes through this drill. They start doing this drill. Denzel runs up there. He's angry, but he like does his job obviously because he's the best. Denzel's the best.
Yeah.
And but like right when they're about to finish this whole drill, they get word that guy who had been injured in the fire is dying.
He's having a heart attack,
he's
and they're
having a heart
using the defibrillator on him.
Yeah, so they stop the drill, they run down there, and the guy has died. Denzel is basically like, "Fuck you, Ramsey," like,
Yeah.
"Screw you." And so then they go to his cabin where he's got this like little stupid dog that he hangs out
With
with.
Jack
all day.
Russell, which he
Yeah.
also said earlier in the movie, these are the smartest dogs on the planet.
Yeah, so Ramsey has
Debatable.
has this little dog that he carries around, which is basically just another way they're supposed to be like, this guy's kind of a dick. Like he has the dog's like peeing everywhere, just kind of like.
Yeah, they even zoomed in on that.
Yeah.
The dog peed on something down below and then stepped in it, but they showed that. It was really weird. It's actually time, because he has the dog on the boat the whole movie. It's pretty great. I got a good joke for you guys
Okay. Is it happening now?
right now.
Okay, great.
Zach, you listening?
Oh, I'm listening.
What do you call a dog on a submarine?
What?
No, wait, hold on. I'm trying to think of it. No, I don't know it. What is it?
A subwoofer.
Wow, that's actually pretty good. I like that. Did you make that up?
No, I didn't. I
Oh,
found it.
Man, now it's dumb.
I like it.
Damn it, you tricked me.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I thought you had made it up. Then I actually think that was funny, but it's not funny because you didn't make it
Oh,
up.
come on. It's still good. Because
it is
what,
good.
what kind of joke is that? And I was like, this applies perfectly to
This
the movie
is
today.
really good, yeah. So they go to his little bunker or bunk, and Ramsey's basically like, you can't do that anymore. You can't yell at me in front of everyone. We can hash it out here in private, like whatever. Then he's like, get out of here. I need 30 minutes of privacy, you know. And
then he also says, when Denzel's leaving, he says, by the way, I didn't kill him. His 300 pounds did.
So basically, like, insults this guy who just died, like, right in front of Denzel. And then he's
Classy.
like, get out of here. I need 30 minutes to jack off. And then he pulls out his dick. It was crazy.
You with the dicks.
No, you didn't have that version of it?
No. Oh, you had the unrated extended.
Yeah.
That was like a 15-minute scene, right?
And I'm talking extended.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's some hardcore stuff.
Yeah.
That sounds intense, guys. Did this really happen?
Yeah, he pulled out his dick. It was crazy. NC-17.
Gene Hackman's dick.
Yeah.
Zach, look up. I think it was. I think he was looking at the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition from like '92 or something. That's what was going on in that scene.
Oh, yeah. You're talking about what Hackman was looking at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or he was just looking in the mirror at himself.
He was looking at himself, jerking off?
In the mirror.
Yeah. So Denzel's sitting there. He goes, by the way, that guy's 300 pounds killed him. Then he disrobes entirely.
Yeah.
Stands in front of a mirror and goes, get out of here.
And they show it the whole time.
Yeah,
That's
they
why
hit
this
the
movie
road.
got an R rating, because it's full frontal male nudity.
Yeah.
It's really hardcore.
Gene Hackman. Ugh. It's crazy.
He's proud of
He's
his
almost
body.
90.
Yeah. So then,
Not then, but now.
shocked by what he's seen, Denzel goes and starts working out. He's like, I got to work out whatever.
He did. There was like a workout
Feelings that I'm
montage, and he was getting really pissed. He was punching that punching bag.
Punching. Now, I got a little note about this one. Did you know Denzel Washington added that himself? He was really into boxing at that time and was like, Tony Scott, let's do like a boxing thing here. And
Really?
that's what we'll do. So he was the one who did that. So they shot it. And
That's so odd. I guess I didn't even question it. I didn't even understand that. I guess you would need to work out or something on a submarine.
they're in the Navy, right?
But
Gotta stay in shape. Except for
Yeah.
Gandolfini.
well, yeah, or the Cobb, the other
Right.
guy.
Yeah. The guy. You mean the guy on the bridge?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But because he was like running earlier in the sub, and I didn't
Yeah.
even think. I mean, you have very limited space on a submarine.
Come on,
Are you
man.
gonna
It's like space, Kyle.
It is weird. Did you listen to the first podcast?
No.
We talked about that.
Yeah, we
how
talked about space.
Geostorm was basically like a submarine movie, except not sub or marine.
But in space.
But in space.
Geostorm looked like a hell of a movie.
Yeah. Well, we can have a whole Geostorm.
Yeah.
Maybe we should make a cut of Geostorm with a submarine so we could do it for this podcast.
Or we could just. You talked about season 2 being skateboard movies.
be the,
we could
what's-
just
what's
do
the name of
season
the
2 is just
production?
all Geostorm. And
Right.
break it every 10 minutes. You just analyze.
What's the
scene.
production company again?
Mac East Second Floor Studios.
I should really learn this. Mackie Second Floor Studios.
Mac East
Mac East Second
Floor Studios.
So that'll be our first release. Will be the extended version of Geostorm, which just has a scene
Oh, yes.
with a submarine in it.
Yes.
Probably taken from like the Agent Red, that Dolph Lundgren film, and just throw it in there. They won't mind.
Done.
I don't think.
They won't. Nobody will know.
I don't think anyone's alive who made that.
We got all sorts of old sub movies. They even mention in Crimson Tide a movie that's on the watch list, Run Silent, Run Deep.
Yeah, it's an
just
older
'cause
one,
it's from 1958, I think.
Ooh.
Just a great name. We could just steal footage from that. I'm sure nobody is kicking.
Run silent, run deep.
Gandolfini mentions it in this film. He's like,
He does.
who starred in Run Silent, Run Deep or something like that.
Yep.
Or he says a name, and then the guy responds. Run
We should
Silent,
get
Run Deep.
T-shirts with that quote on it.
We could.
Yeah.
I thought we were going to get the I'm a Sub t-shirts.
That too.
I didn't even get that when I read that. I was like, I don't
And
know.
it'll have it'll have somebody behind it whipping a submarine.
Great. I kind of like that. I
Yeah,
like that
pretty
one.
good.
So after he works out, he's really like punched out his feelings a little bit, and he goes to his friend Viggo Mortensen and is like, "What an asshole!" Right? Basically, he's like, "What an asshole!" And Viggo Mortensen's like, "No, like he's the captain. You gotta know who he is. You gotta learn who he is. Like this is just how he is. Like you can't get so riled up about it."
Mm-hmm.
So right after this, they get a new message basically saying, okay, Ramchenko officially has the capability of launching. He's gotten the codes. He doesn't just have the Navy Yard now. He's gotten the codes. They're going to DEFCON 3,
Yes.
which essentially means like DEFCON 2 would be he's fueling, DEFCON 1's when he's launching basically. So like DEFCON 3 is like the step before they would launch that first strike.
Right.
So everyone is
Tense.
really tense. And I
Yes.
think what you're supposed to get out of this is like, yes, Gene Hackman is battle tested, but he's not nuclear age battle tested.
Right. He's of the old mindset because
Right.
when you launch a nuclear bomb, that's huge.
Yeah.
What happens, Kyle?
Let me tell you, as an expert, just kidding. But I mean, when you launch a nuclear bomb, that is a huge declaration of war. You are killing
You think
tons
so?
of civilians, along with, military personnel, and you can't come back from that.
No, and that's the thing. Like,
I guess that is how you win, though.
right. And so, but that's the thing. Like, and I think you get the split within the crew already, kind of talking about the launch, where some of them are like, but think of your family a little bit. Like, they keep on saying, like, what about your family? Like, if you don't go after this person, hit them first, your family might be killed. And the response by like Denzel and the people within is like, I am. Like, that's the thing. Like, nuclear war is the end. It doesn't matter if we strike first or not. Like, It's nuclear war. So I am thinking my family, and first and foremost, you should try to prevent a nuclear war. So like it's like the two mindsets. Like, how do you saving your family means hitting first, or saving your family means hitting not at all? Kind of trying to do your best to prevent everything.
I mean, obviously, if you get hit, that's it. That's it. So I mean, you're either taking somebody else's family, or literally,
and
you
even
just
if you-
have these nukes as a preventative measure.
And I think the point is like even if you took that other person's family, you still caused terrible devastation. Like, and the world is totally different for your family. So like, you want to prevent that at all costs. So it's kind of like when the tension ratchets up, everyone is tense in their like different ways. But people start going crazy on the sub. There's fights breaking out over Silver Surfer.
Oh yes,
which is great. I mean, this is really where Tarantino tapped into something really good here, where it was showing how Denzel kind of got close to the crew. Like, the people that ended up trusting him the most and him trusting the most were these people where he connected them on a different level. He wasn't just yelling at them or like being
which is Gene Hackman style.
Right, yeah. So Gene Hackman's just
kind
like
of a totalitarian type thing.
Like, whatever, I'm the boss. And instead, he's like, oh, what were you fighting about? And the guy's like, I don't want to talk about it. It's like, no, we have to talk about it. And he's like, okay, well, this guy likes Silver Surfer, but not the original version of Silver Surfer.
He likes version 2, but I think version 1 is
the only
best.
version.
Right.
And then Denzel's like, keep it together. I know it's tense, like blah, blah. And also, the first version of Silver Surfer is clearly the only version of Silver Surfer.
Yeah, he's like, don't fight with such a stupid guy, because obviously the first version is the best.
He's dumb, like, get on your way. And he smiles, and everyone's happy again.
And they do become buddy-buddy in the film, and that is...
it's a huge part of it.
It is.
It's the same thing with the radio guy later. Tension is ratcheted up. They are everyone's like freaking out a little bit. And then all of a sudden, like, two things happen at once. First, they see this attack sub.
An Akula class.
Yeah, an Akula class Russian sub. It hasn't seen them, and they have to be real quiet. But, like, it's right there. And then they start getting messages, and they're going to dive. They're diving so that they can get away from that sub and make sure they're not seen. But they start getting messages saying... DEFCON 2, a confirmed message saying he's fueling, you need to launch within,
60 minutes.
Or 60 minutes, yeah. So 60 minutes. You have 60 minutes, and you have to, then you have to launch. And so, so they start diving, but then...
And the big thing here is that the message has been confirmed.
Yeah, that one's confirmed.
They have these confirmed codes that you need to... there's certain codes that you don't know, but you have to go into a safe. Actually, two people have to go into a safe.
Yeah.
One person knows the code to get into the first safe, and then there's a safe within a safe, and they have to enter that code in, but they don't know the codes, and so then you grab out this ticket, and you have to break open it, and it has this confirmation number that means this is real.
Yeah, and it turns out to be real, so they're understandably... really like, okay, this is it. This is happening. 60 minutes, they're going to be launching a nuke. Within 60 minutes, they're going to be launching a nuke. But they kind of have to evade this sub. So they're still diving. They're going to have to resurface to actually launch the missile, but they're diving at that moment. And they start to get another, or they don't want to get out of contact. Denzel kind of knows, like, something might be coming in.
Because this is a very big deal.
Yeah, so like...
Because you're, like, going to launch a nuclear missile.
Yeah.
You don't want to take it lightly.
Yeah, so rather than be like, you know what, we got our code, let's go. Denzel's like, no, we're diving. We're going to be out of radio contact. We can't be out of radio contact in case they stop our command. So like, he's like, we have to launch a little buoy with a radio.
Well, because they got a broken transmission.
No, not yet. Not yet. The broken
okay.
transmission happens. It's broken off because of the attack.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So he launches this little thing to go up, and a buoy that goes up with a radio transceiver, and
It's on a winch.
it's on a wench, and the wench stops and creates this very loud short. They call it a short, just like electrical short, but like a short, a sound short that basically is going to be like a beacon to any submarine. And the submarine, the attack submarine, turns and starts to come after them.
Yes.
And so everything goes crazy at this point. They're launching torpedoes at them, and they're trying to like evade them. They put out countermeasures, all this stuff. One misses and hits the countermeasure, and another one kind of comes close and explodes, but doesn't sink them or really damage them all that much.
Right.
Turns out what happens though is it damages all the radio equipment and it's broken off their like low frequency receiver, the buoy, and so now they're like screwed. And while all of this was happening, they start getting a message about the nuclear command that gets cut off. So all they see is nuclear command or whatever, and then nothing. And Denzel's like, we have to get this message before we launch.
Yes.
And Gene Hackman's like, we don't. That's the fundamental like idea schism in the entire film is Gene Hackman's like, we have to launch. Denzel Washington's, we can't launch
until
and
we
now
know.
they're butting heads. Yeah.
Well, they were butting heads a lot.
Right. But this is where like it comes to a head in this case.
Yes.
Yeah.
The whole thing putting the buoy up. Remember, Denzel really wanted to do that, and Gene Hackman just said,
right,
fine, you can put it up. And then it caused that huge thing, and they get attacked and all that. Yeah,
it's actually the only time that Denzel looks kind of bad because he did something that kind of screwed it up and could have got them killed. But I mean, in the end, it's the right thing to do. But it wasn't his fault. But
is it though?
Do you think he may have compromised that wench?
No, I mean, is it the right thing to do? Winch.
Not wench.
Wench is a medieval waitress.
Right.
A winch.
He did compromise the wench at the Renaissance Fair he attended before the.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Yeah,
we forgot about that scene at the
whole
at
Renaissance
Renfest.
Fair. Yeah.
There's a really good jousting scene with Denzel and Gene Hackman.
He loves the Renaissance Fair. It's weird.
Turkey legs and flagons of mead.
Yeah. And so, so he's like, we cannot launch until we know what this command is. And Gene Hackman, kind of rightfully, I mean, he's a dick, and he's eventually he's not the good guy in the movie, but rightfully he's kind of like, no, I mean,
we have
a command in hand. Just because we had one cut off doesn't mean we don't go through that command. We have a command in hand. Mm-hmm. But Denzel, because of how the nuclear launch works, it needs him to say yes, and he's not going to say yes. So they're basically at an impasse, and so that impasse results in Gene Hackman breaking the law, which is he tries to get rid of Denzel as XO, and the guy who's the guy on the bridge?
Cobb.
Yeah, so Cobb is sitting there, and he's like, really good guy. Actually, he's one of the best characters in the film in the end.
Mm-hmm. Well, character-wise.
Yeah. And he...
not acting or whatever. Denzel is the best.
I can't remember. He's in a bunch of stuff.
Is he?
Oh, yeah. That's like... He's a great character actor.
A Fichtner type?
A Fichtner type. Very much a Fichtner type. A different type of person. Makes Fichtner's like cut and real handsome. And Cobb's not. But he's basically like, no, you can't break down the rules. And, there's a lot of parallels to today's world, a little bit. It's like you can't just fire people because you want to, just because you're the captain.
Well, it's only 20 years.
True, but I'm saying it's just like this moment in time. There's a lot of parallels. It's like, just because you're the captain, you can't just like get rid of everyone you want. Maybe
right. And I mean, I guess
you can't get rid of everyone too.
You see that on the sub. There's so many different little checks and balances. Yeah. Separation of duties.
Right.
And that's the thing we're talking about with the safes and all that stuff.
And
you
so
can't
Cobb,
get rid. These people are put in place for a reason, because I guess you should probably have some differences of opinion. Because if you're just like, hey, let's just launch the nukes, you could easily, if everybody was of that same mindset, you could just take over the whole sub and just launch whatever you want, and then it would be just like Phantom. Yeah,
and it wouldn't be good too, because clearly from the scene we saw with Gene Hackman, you don't want like a sexual deviant in charge, someone who's just going to take the stick. In the extended scene that I saw.
Was that a deleted scene or was it extended?
It was an extended scene.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was not deleted. They didn't want to delete that. They were forced
Tony
to cut
Scott
it.
told the studio, I need this scene.
Yeah, it's like, is there any way I'm gonna keep a PG-13 rating with the scene in it? And they were like, no.
with a 60 to 70-year-old man, full frontal nudity, in front of a mirror, staring at himself.
What's the chances here?
Yeah.
It is kind of crazy. Gene Hackman was not that far away from retiring at this point. Like, he was pretty much done with his career.
He was amazing
He
in
was
this
really
movie.
amazing. Really, really good. Denzel was also really, really
Equally
good.
amazing.
Really, really good.
Yes. Denzel's always been great.
Yeah. So anyways,
This
Cobb,
is one of his earlier films, though. So
Yeah. So Cobb is like, you can't do this. And in the end, agrees with Denzel Washington with, like, you're out. Like, he's going to be taking over as captain. Because
he agrees that Hackman is out.
Right. That's what I mean.
Yeah, because Denzel says, I'm relieving you of duty.
Yeah. Because you are
Breaking the rules.
Yeah, you're breaking the law, so you are relieved of your duty. And Cobb agrees, and they take him away. And in the end, Denzel's like, "Thanks, man. You're the best." And Cobb's like, "Fuck you. Like, I didn't do it for you. I did it basically for the United States and the Navy. Like, you can't just break rules. Like,
Right.
That's the whole idea of the Navy. So, like, no, he wasn't allowed to do that, and that's what happened. And I don't agree with you, though. Like, we should be launching."
Yeah, and he says, well, thanks anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, he knows the only way that this ends well, because he's going to have to launch it. He's going to have to launch the nukes at a certain point. You can't not, kind of. But
he also said that there should be other subs in the area.
Right.
Who will also get the same orders, and if we don't, they don't. And
Right,
Gene
but-
Hackman says, well, I have to assume that those subs have been taken out.
Right, but do you really think if it got down to the last moment within his window that he wouldn't have? I guess he was kind of saying he wouldn't have because of redundancy. He would have said, another sub's going to do it, so I'm not going to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that we've talked about before where they explain something. It's redundancy. I know what redundancy is.
Yeah.
Well, it's because there's another sub in the area.
Right. And so he knows that the easiest way for all of this to be settled is to get that message. And he goes down and is like, you got to fix this. This has to be fixed. This actually might not even be when this happens. They might even do they get attacked? They almost get attacked immediately, right? When he takes over. Almost immediately.
Yes.
The sub appears again. It's like 600 yards away and throws torpedoes at them.
Oh, because I think they go up a little bit.
Sorry, fish. They shoot some fish at them.
Shoot fish.
Right.
Don't say torpedoes.
Yeah.
What are you, new to this?
Yeah, Jesus. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So
Sorry,
they shoot
guys.
some fish at our beloved USS Alabama.
Cruising
And,
at 50 knots.
yeah, so they're like, and this is a good way of kind of introducing, like, okay, we have Denzel who's not battle tested. Can he handle this? And a bunch of people are like, why are we shooting back at them? What are we doing? Like,
And they do another explanation here.
Right, exactly. And they're like, come on, guys. Like, everyone knows it's within 600 yards. We have no time to shoot torpedoes.
We got to get to
We have
1,000.
to,
How'd
okay.
you even get on this sub without knowing that?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you even get in this movie theater without knowing that? And everyone's ashamed as they watch it.
We're like, oh, we're all the worst. Why didn't we
God.
read a book or something
It's
before
gonna be
this?
great. It's gonna be great when there's another movie that does the same thing, where they're like, "Why aren't we launching our torpedoes?" And we're like, "Come on, guys, this is 1,000
Idiots.
meters.
Got to get 1,000 yards.
Come on, man."
Didn't you watch Crimson Tide before this?
Zach didn't.
I did not.
You're like
I was wondering if he was even
yeah,
still there.
I thought you were still eating.
No, I as a handful of pretzels.
Yeah, you
they
didn't
made
wanna-
me. They made me thirsty. So
Those pretzels were making you thirsty.
you got it. You got it.
All right. Well, they are a little salty, aren't they?
Was that a reference to something?
No.
Okay.
We were
Not
talking
at
about Seinfeld, but all right.
Well, shoot, I wasn't.
And so he does this. They evade the torpedoes, and then they miss, and they turn around and they launch their own torpedoes, and they totally blast this. What was the sub?
In the Kula class.
An Akula class sub out of the water. But oh no, it got one off right at the last moment.
Shot a fish.
Yeah, and it really screws them up. I mean, basically, it knocks everything out. Their engine's stopped. Everything's done. Steve Zahn is like, "Oh no, I hope I don't die in like a couple minutes." And then he's like, "I probably won't. What's the chances of that?"
I'm Steve Zahn. I'm not
Right.
going to die.
I'm a famous world famous actor.
Yeah.
I'm gonna definitely
In 95.
I'm gonna go in this hatch filled with water, and I definitely won't die. That's what he says.
Yes.
And so they're trying to fix everything, and they're dropping. They're basically getting close to
The hull crush point.
Yep. And
Which
we're
is 18. Oh, it's 1,850 feet.
Yeah, and we're going to hear. I'm gonna guess through our journey of submarine films, we're gonna hear that term A lot.
Oh, definitely.
Look at the crush point.
There's never just like, hey, we did this sub trip. Everything went perfectly.
It would be funny if we're watching like Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, and it's like, oh no, we're approaching our crush point. We're like, what?
You're only like 90 feet under.
I don't remember this happened. I don't remember them almost sinking in Steve Zissou. But, as predicted, I mean, Denzel Washington's not. He's not an Ed Harris. He's not a David Duchovny. They're not killing Denzel Washington.
No.
They start the engine back up, and they're fine. The only people who aren't fine is 6 people who died.
Well, they were locked in the hatch.
Yeah.
Which, again, Phantom references. Remember, you made me seal those people in the hatch.
Oh, yeah. So you think this is is this a prequel?
Oh, it very well could be.
It's some kind of time warp sequel. So Ed Harris is
Fan theory.
Viggo Mortensen is Ed Harris.
Oh, my gosh.
From Phantom. And then
But he would have to... No, Viggo Mortensen would have to be Denzel. No, sorry. Denzel would have to be Ed Harris.
No. Because
remember, he ordered the issue to have people sealed.
But, maybe it's just a case of one of those classic cases of, like, boosting your resume. Like, I was totally XO on that ship. When in reality, he was just an extra. He was just a missile guy.
And somebody's like, oh, okay, whatever. We don't have background checks. We're in
and this other guy
Soviet Russia.
This guy's dead on a submarine. He's on.
Yeah, he ain't doing anything. But the whole time this is going on, Gene Hackman has got James, how do you say his Gandolfini? Mm-hmm. He came into the room.
Oh, yeah. Gandolfini's a total dick face.
And they are staging an overthrow of Denzel. They're going to mutiny the mutiny right here.
It's the Kane mutiny all over again up on the ship, up on the submarine. And they're gonna get people. They're gonna get people. The most important person is Viggo Mortensen because he's like a friend of Denzel, and he's the guy who has the ability to launch. I think that's the main thing. It's like you can't actually have a mutiny
unless you have him.
He knows the codes. It's in his brain. You can't blow his brains out or anything like that because if you don't have him, you can't launch anything.
But he also wanted the 2 guys who have access to the authentication
It's basically Gandolfini's like a Dumbo. He's like, who do we get? He's like, go get everyone who can launch a missile. And Gandolfini's like,
I need 3
that's
people.
That's true. That'll be persuadable. And it's like, clearly all Gene Hackman wants to do is launch a missile. Like, and you aren't actually important, James Gandolfini, because you can't launch a missile.
Yeah, you're just
a tool to get the 3 people who can help him do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, all right, spoiler, eventually...
they take back over.
Well, the sub is going down, and they get the systems back online.
Yeah, obviously.
They don't get crushed.
No, they do not crush.
That would have been a really funny end of the movie.
That would have been
They just
weird.
go down and bam, just crush. Like,
what
was so good about that?
And then it goes into a dream sequence where it gets pulled up from the bottom of the ocean, and everyone's like, fuck Denzel Washington, and everyone's cheering Gene Hackman.
Actually,
he's like, oh, I'm the best.
The dream sequence is it shows Denzel's like resume on Gene Hackman's nightstand, and then Gene Hackman wakes up and looks at it. He's like, well, I'm not going to hire that guy.
Oh yeah, so it's all a dream. This whole thing's been a dream.
Like, I don't want him.
What a terrible dream. I'm not going to hire that guy anymore.
Oh my word!
And it leads you right into Crimson Tide too,
where he hires that guy.
Yeah,
he's forced by his boss. He's like, I had a dream about this. I don't care about your dreams.
And so they take back the ship. They get guns. They convince Viggo Mortensen that it's the right thing to do.
Viggo can launch the nuke, and he has access to all the small arms on the ship.
And so
which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, so they start collecting guns. And they got other people, and Denzel knows something's wrong. Basically, he's like, communications, what's up? And they're like, oh, Zimmer's not here, like one of the most important people on the ship. Like, Zimmer's not at the communication hub in the middle of a DEFCON 2. That's weird. Maybe I should go give my keys to the entire submarine to a guy that
who checks a sonar.
Yeah, a guy who checks the sonar who I talked about Silver Surfer with, and now he loves me, and it's great.
That's literally the only interaction those guys had.
Yeah,
and then
it is because he's new to the ship. They've never really met before. And so then it gives the keys to him, and almost right after that, he gets taken. The mutiny happens, and he gets taken out of command.
Yeah,
Gene Hackman's back, baby.
Crisscross,
baby, and he is ready to launch some nukes. He really wants to get it on. He takes out his dick again, which is weird.
Yeah, he's driving the ship with it.
Yeah, he's just got his dick out. He's like, "Who's the captain now? You can't tell me I can't have my dick out." And everyone's like, "That's true. You're the captain."
Yeah. And that,
Also an extended scene. I don't think that was in the main one.
That was, I don't remember it, but I think
what
you
just
told me it was like a 5-minute long scene, right?
Yeah, it just had a blurkle, I think, in your version of it.
It was like a foot long.
Yeah, it was just a black box that they censored out his dick in a major motion picture.
Oh, my word.
It was weird.
Yeah.
Bold choices by Tony Scott. That's fun.
Well, Jamie, our local dick expert.
It's weird how often it happens in sub movies. You'll see for every movie that we do from now on how often it happens.
Yeah. Something that would be really weird, I was thinking about this during that fight scene with the Silver Surfer type stuff.
Yeah.
You would really have to get along with everybody on the sub because you're trapped down there for like 70 days. You essentially have no communication.
This is giving me an idea. What if there was a serial killer amongst the crew?
Oh, my word. You're talking for our movie.
Is there a sub movie where there's a serial killer on a sub? A horror film?
Not that I know of, but that could be the very first one we ever make.
Mackey's Second Floor Studios presents
Ed Harris in.
No, Ed Harris is not going to be on this.
Come on, he could be the serial killer. He could be the first
He's
guy to
too old
die.
to be the serial killer.
Well, no one would suspect him.
That's a
like,
good.
you're the janitor.
That's a good point. Yeah. Except he'd be like, I'm just a janitor. He'd be like, is that Ed Harris?
That guy's totally
He's
got a
definitely
bigger part.
He's barely in this film right now. He's got to be the serial killer. And so getting back to the movie, so they're trapped in jail basically, and they're getting ready to launch. Like, let's bring us up. Let's get up to launch step. Mm-hmm. We're definitely gonna launch this nuke, and no big deal. And Denzel, because of his foresight, gets freed by the sonar guy.
Right. Well, he comes in and he punches that dude in the face who's fighting
Silver
before.
Surfer, yeah.
He's like, I hate that guy anyway.
Yeah. Fuck
you
this
broke
guy.
my nose.
And then so they get out and they're collecting some arms as well. Mm-hmm. And he calls up his friend Viggo Mortensen and is like, you got to delay this. Like, this is right. You were wrong for doing it. I forgive you, but like you got to do what's right here.
Oh, because Viggo did go with the captain. But it was also funny because he's on the phone. He's pushing his own agenda, Denzel is, and he's like, you need to think for yourself. But I'm like, no, Denzel, you just want him to think how you want him to think.
So you're saying that Denzel is actually the bad guy in this movie?
No, I'm not saying he's the bad guy, but anytime somebody's like, you need to think for yourself, you don't need to listen to them, all they're trying to do is get you to go with them. Because what if Viggo thought about it? He's like, well, yeah, I do want to launch it.
That is deep.
It is.
Wow. I have to reevaluate my life.
Yeah, might be outside the realm of this podcast.
I'm done with that. Okay, so so they're on their way to take back the ship, kind of, and they want to launch, and so they're like, okay, time to launch, and they're all jazzed up. Gene Hackman's like hard for launching a nuke. He's like ready to go, and he is like, okay, let's do it. But nothing happens, and he's like, "What the fuck?" And he goes like, Viggo Mortensen is like refusing to do the final like launch,
and everybody in the room is staring at him like, "What are you doing? Launch!" Because he has to pull this key.
Launch. You got to do that. He's got to open the safe, and then he's got to push a button basically, and he's the only one who knows the code to the safe, so they can't do anything. So Hackman goes down, and at that same time, Denzel is heading up to the bridge, and so they kind of like pass in space, and Hackman.
Oh, because they took those other outfits.
Yeah.
Which wasn't really necessary.
Also, would they really have found an outfit for Cobb? I was thinking he'd be in like a real tight outfit.
That would have been funny. Like a belly shirt or something.
Yeah, like just like super tight. Like, damn it. Didn't find one that fit me.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, they but I don't know why the heck they put those outfits on.
Just so they weren't so
obvious, I guess.
I don't know. But wouldn't they have been like, wait, we're like literally launching nuke. Shouldn't you be at some command? Whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and there's only like 60 or 70 people on the sub. We kind of know everybody.
Yeah. Shouldn't you be crying in your bunk or doing something important? It was like the two options when there's nuclear war.
That's about it.
Yeah. And so instead of being like, boop, boop, I'm just cleaning. I'm a janitor.
Yeah, I'm just walking around. What up?
And Hackman goes down there. He's like, you better do this. And he's like, wait, I can't kill you because you are the only one who knows the code. So he grabs just this guy and is like, I'm going to shoot him. And this is when he's like, he kind of realizes he's in the wrong.
Hackman?
Everyone kind of, I think so. Because it's like, look at what you're doing.
Part of me, though, wanted him to just pull the trigger.
He would have. And Viggo Mortensen eventually gives in because he doesn't want the guy killed. But you get a sense from the incredible acting that Hackman was doing with his face that like he also kind of realized, I may have really
overstepped my bounds.
I may have
here.
really crossed the line when I threatened to kill a random person on the ship to force one of my subordinates to launch a nuclear
He's like
missile.
the lowest build guy, and I'm going to shoot him in the head.
Yeah, except for I think Ryan Phillippe may have been in that scene, and he's even lower build. He didn't even get the gun shoved in his face. He's like in the background being like, "Come on, guys, we can work this out." So they open the thing, and they're going to launch the thing, and just at that moment, they retake the bridge, and Denzel pulls the key out, and so they don't get to launch, and they go back up, and it's basically like an impasse, like a detente. Like, okay, no one's going to do anything. We got 6 minutes.
7.
7 minutes.
It was 7, but he said...
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Did you even watch the movie?
I have to admit, I did not.
Oh.
I've been making this up on the fly. Was I close?
Yeah, you're pretty darn close.
Wow.
You a big Tony Scott fan? So, yeah, they got 7 minutes, and the radio guy is, freaking out,
Yeah, he's
trying to get the radio
He's doing
fixed.
it. He's feeling like what was he? Oh, Scotty. He's Scotty. He's Star
Scotty.
Trek Scotty. He's
That's
like
right.
ready to do
That's
it.
the bond that Denzel and him had.
Yeah. He's like, I'm Scotty, baby. I'm Scotty. And then he starts seeing it. He's like, I'm seeing it. Mm-hmm. And they're talking about fucking horses or something again.
Yeah.
How many times do they have to talk about horses?
Well, they talk about the horses that are from
Portugal/Spain.
Portugal versus Spain, and
in the trivia, they make it clear that they both
well,
are
hey,
wrong.
Oh, hey,
Am I stepping
we'll
on
find
it?
out about that.
Okay,
No,
I'm stepping
we'll get
on
to
it.
that in a minute. But Hackman says they're from Portugal.
Yeah.
Denzel says no, those horses are from Spain.
They're Spanish.
But it's also kind of odd because he's like, yeah, these white horses, they're very trainable. And Denzel says, well, they're actually from Spain and they're black at birth. And then Hackman says, well, I didn't know that.
I didn't know they were black at birth, yeah.
But they're from Portugal.
But they're from Portugal. And apparently, well, this is in the trivia, it's supposed to be basically demonstrating the difference between the two. You have an academic who kind of knows the facts,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have Hackman, who's kind of flies a little bit more from the gut, from the seat of his pants a little bit. It's like, and the version of the truth is what they believe. So he believes
Right.
they're from Portugal. And
That
so
is
that's
getting
right.
into some real deep stuff.
And that's correct.
Generational differences.
In his mind, that's correct. And then for Denzel, it's like, well, no, it's just there is only one version of the facts, and it's Spanish. And then IMDb goes on to say, like, they're not really Spanish, they're Slovenian, like blah blah blah. But in reality, Denzel was right. They were ordered from Spain by a guy who now breeds them, or they were bred in Slovenia, like whatever. They're Spanish, it's fine. So, anyways, they're kind of sitting there, and Scotty gets the everything up and running. They see
but it is down to like the last 10
I think it's 30 seconds or something.
Something
yeah.
like that.
And they bring up the message, and lo and behold, indeed, the message says that they were able to retake the base. Remchenko's not in power anymore. Nothing's
There's been a
getting
complete
launched.
surrender.
Everything's done. And so, he basically, essentially Gene Hackman's like, well, fuck me. And he like,
Right, that's what he thinks.
he
yeah.
like sadly walks down to his bunk. That's the end
He
of
does,
that. He's like,
yeah.
well, guess I'm not the captain anymore. This blows. And then off he goes. And then they have a post scene with what's his name?
An admiral.
Yeah, but he's like a famous actor. Roburn or something.
I don't know.
He's in a bunch of famous films. But he did a cameo at the end, uncredited. As is the guy who is the Navy expert, kind of the guy who helped. He's also on that panel, and so they're up for like court martial or something,
Right.
and they basically say like, oh, in the end, Gene Hackman like testified in your favor. Basically
Right, but
said
they,
it was good.
with the way it was filmed, it was leading up to, you're not going to, how's this going to not go
Right, yeah.
well for Denzel? And
This guy has such a dick face. He's probably going to be like,
yeah, but they say, hey, Ramsey said he will retire early and he wants you to be the captain at your next earliest convenience. And then they're walking out and Denzel calls out to Ramsey. He says, hey, whatever. They start a conversation. And Hackman says, I want to let you know I was wrong about the horses. They're
Right.
actually from Spain. Like, dun, dun, dun! He's not going to admit that, they shouldn't have launched the nukes.
and that's the thing. Like, I think it's interesting because I would say it's true. Neither of them are correct or right. I mean, I think morally
You can't
could say
know.
one is correct, but like correct in terms of like Navy and protocol and stuff like that. Like
Hackman was correct.
it could have easily turned out not the way that you would maybe wanted it to be, or
Right.
something like that. Like where Remchenko blows Los Angeles to smithereens, and this all the other ships are sunk and the United States is like devastated.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a great scenario.
No, it's really not.
Right.
But I mean, they didn't know. Denzel did not want to launch until they knew. But I mean, he's of that new school of thought. Gene Hackman's of that old school. I mean, gosh, been in the Navy for at that age, probably like
And then at
30, 40 years, something like that.
And then at the very end, they inform us that that quote they had in the beginning is no longer true.
Oh, yes.
And that submarine captains are no longer independently able to launch nukes. And
it all comes down from the president.
It's all the president now. So that's the nuclear. If you ever hear someone say nuclear triad, do you know what nuclear triad is?
Tell me.
It's like the 3 ways to launch nukes, right? Like air from like ground missiles and then from submarines. Like those are the 3 ways. That's the nuclear triad.
Wait, what? Oh, air and ground missiles.
You're dropping from a plane,
Yeah.
manned aircraft. You're launching from the ground, and you're shooting from submarine. So
Yeah.
that's your nuclear triad. And what they claimed in this, and from IMDb, is IMDb the ultimate authority? I don't know. Like it seems kind of crazy.
On nuclear war?
Yeah, that they would be like, we've figured this out. But they said like they didn't have the input from the Navy really. Like the Navy was
all.
They weren't happy with this movie at all. But like they got pretty close to what the actual scenario was. And then apparently, and I couldn't find anything to confirm this, they said in 1996, a year after this film, it changed. So the nuclear triad wasn't that the president had control over both the land and the air, but they couldn't guarantee they'd have control over the submarine because the submarine might be in diving depths, as we
Out
saw
of
in this,
communication.
and they would launch independently. They'd have to launch without the president launching.
Do you think Crimson Tide changed the political landscape of nuclear war?
I think maybe, and I'm going to go on a limb here, but I think maybe the political landscape changed the political landscape of war. That the Cold War ended, and maybe that had more influence than Crimson Tide.
This was a phenomenal movie.
Yeah, it's really, really good, and that's you can tell like by the difference in the seriousness of us discussing Phantom versus this.
Definitely.
Yeah. What's actually surprising is how much more I talked about Gene Hackman's dick, though. Given how silly Phantom was, you'd think I would have just only talked about Ed Harris's dick.
Yeah, well, I kind of try to dismiss it, but
Just let it go.
I'm just going to embrace it now.
Sure,
sure.
Sure.
I mean, whatever.
You're gonna embrace Gene Hackman's dick.
Not myself,
Okay.
not personally, not with a hand or any other orifice.
Sure.
But I'll let you talk.
Okay.
Do whatever you want to do.
So, Zach,
Yes.
you're there.
Yeah. Took you guys
Okay.
an hour to get to that summary of the movie.
So what was that really an hour?
Oh yeah.
That's a full hour?
Yep.
Oh my God. We're such idiots. Okay, fine.
It's a great movie, man. You got to
really
watch
good.
it.
It's really good. So what was your favorite part of the film? Zach?
The first minute that I watched of the movie was my
birthday
favorite.
party?
I didn't even get to the birthday party.
Oh,
Just
wow.
a quote. Just a quote.
Wow.
Quote done. You're like, wow, this is gonna be phenomenal. I'm shutting it off.
This
It
quote
was-
will definitely not be not true by the end of this film.
Yeah, it was the quote, and then kids started fighting, and I never got back to it.
Okay. Kyle, what was your favorite part?
Favorite part of this movie?
Favorite part.
I loved the scene where it's kind of like right before the mutiny. Denzel and Gene Hackman are just staring at each other, screaming because they're both 2 great actors.
They're really good.
And that scene was so powerful and just crazy.
That
and
was
it
actually the
awesome.
quote. That was the quote that Denzel gave. It's like why he did the film. He wanted to go toe to toe with a master,
Yes,
and he did.
he did.
Yeah. So I would say I did love all the Quentin Tarantino quotes throughout. I thought it was
they're
really,
so
really
good. There's one. There is one that
very
is.
naturally in there. Yeah.
I mean, in one of the scenes, I want to say it was Zimmer. He just screamed out, "You don't put a condom on unless you're gonna fuck."
Right.
I was like, wait, what? And I was like, no, I know what Tarantino did.
Probably, yeah.
Some dialogue, and that is definitely a line from him.
Right. But I will say, just because I have to, is the score was banging. The score was great.
Oh, Hans Zimmer.
That music got me psyched.
It was
ready for the film.
It was good.
Yeah, so I really like that.
And that was even why they had the guy on the sub, Zimmer. He was named
after.
to honor Hans Zimmer. I mean, it was so good.
All right, what do we got? So that's pretty much what we got for this guy. So what do you get? What do you get inches wise? So Zach's probably gonna give it. What do you got? Like 1 inch because you got 1 minute of the film.
I'd say a half an inch.
So half an inch of the film. So
Just enough to taste it, but you couldn't really enjoy it.
You got that quote. That quote was worth probably about
that's
half
powerful.
an inch of a sub.
That's very powerful.
It's like a little
It's
appetizer.
like a party platter
Yeah.
type thing, and they show up for like a work function. And you're like, oh, I got to take like 3 or 4 of these things.
You're like, wait, what is this again? Crimson Tide? That's pretty good.
I'll have some more of that.
All right.
I'm gonna give it a. Well, see, the thing is like we're going out of 10 inches of sub.
Yeah.
We know that theoretically there's that foot long waiting. for
Oh,
us.
there's a foot long out there.
So, but it's hard to say like I'm gonna give this a 10, knowing there's the full foot long out there.
Mm-hmm.
So I gotta play it. No, I'm gonna give it 10. It's 10 inches of sub.
Whoa!
I don't think
Yeah.
it's that. I don't think it's the full. It can't be the full foot long yet, right?
It was really good.
It's pretty great.
I mean, I was talking last night with some guys about it, and because I had to stop in the middle of it to go bowling, and I was like, I didn't even want to stop. This movie is just legitimately good. Like, even, I mean, whatever, we're doing the sub podcast. Even if you're not looking for a sub movie, go watch this movie. It is great. If you haven't seen it yet, it's phenomenal. I'd give it a 10 out of 10 inches.
Yeah, it's great.
And I'd also put jalapenos and banana peppers all over this thing to add up a little bit of spice.
Wow, I'd slather it in mustard.
You would.
Ready to go. We know Alex would too. The mustard man.
Yeah, Mustard Man totally would.
Mustard Man's on this? I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. You missed last week.
I love the Mustard Man.
Jamie was talking about his favorite sub. He's like, I like chicken parm and I like mustard on it.
Oh.
Alex said, well, you're my kind of guy. One of the things that cracked me up, though, when I was watching this, Zach, you'll appreciate this, is they're driving out towards North Korea, and they're like, we're headed towards the Kamchatka Peninsula. And I just thought, wait, that's more than just a
vodka?
crappy brand of vodka that I used to pay $15 for a half gallon for.
That you drink in one night? Yeah, I remember
Oh, my
that.
word. Yeah, that stuff was just craziness.
All right. Are we moving on? We've got other sections to do. We're already an hour in. So.
Yeah, holy cow. I can't believe we're already an hour in.
Well, you did spend like 30 minutes quieting down some dogs. So
oh, yeah. You taking that into consideration?
no, it's just you just got the regular time.
Oh, yeah.
But that wasn't 30 minutes. It was only
Yeah.
short amount
Yeah,
of time.
Well, whatever.
we're at an hour and 11 minutes, so
Right,
probably
yeah. So we're probably at an hour now.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
might be a two-parter.
Not a chance. So actually, this next little piece started from last week's episode. We were
first
talking. Yes, the first episode. Sorry, people might be listening to these a week at a time. Last week we were talking about if there could be subs in the Persian Gulf. Why are there no Persian Gulf sub movies? Some people, I mean, we weren't really sure. We didn't know if it was possible to even get a sub into the Persian Gulf because of the narrow area you have to go into and the shallow depth. Lo and behold, they do have subs in the Persian Gulf.
Really?
Yes.
American subs?
Well, I didn't find anything on that. I found Iran has subs in the Persian Gulf, and these are Ghadir class.
Of course, Iran would have them.
Well, yeah.
The point is whether America would have them so that we could get a sub movie.
Well, yeah.
Are you saying?
Well, I guess we're not watching like Iranian sub movies or anything like that.
And it'd be really weird for there to be a major U.S. film about a famous Iranian sub.
I couldn't even find much on these, but they're the Ghadir class submarine.
Great.
Yeah, they are a midget class submarine, which if you don't know what that is any submarine that is under 150 tons.
So, Kyle, is midget the appropriate terminology?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
I know. I wasn't sure that was still kosher, but I guess it is.
For subs. Yeah, for subs.
Yeah, for subs, it's cool. And typically these are operated by a crew of up to, it's about 2 people. Can be only 2, but up to 9. And you use these small subs really for harbor penetration if you're trying to like get into...
Try to get it in, yeah.
Yeah, trying to get it in and just wreak havoc, you know?
Great.
You take the midget sub in.
Gene
Yes.
Hackman would have liked that one.
He would. And, these are they're also used in like Navy SEAL type operation. Not the Ghadir class particularly. They don't, cater to the U.S. Navy SEALs. But you could use another midget class submarine to deliver frogmen to their near targets to start some, get underway on their mission. And they're generally also accompanied by a bigger vessel, because if you only got like 2 to 9 people in a sub, you're not going to have much for like living room wise. You know, you can't stay in that for 10 days. You would lose your mind.
Great.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
First one of these, though, was introduced in 2007.
Wow.
Yeah, so they're pretty new.
I'm pretty new.
And they're running on the diesel electric propulsion.
I think a lot of subs are actually.
The newer ones, because the improvement with lithium ion batteries, I guess, you can stay underwater for like 120 hours.
Wow.
And run almost silently, which is pretty nuts.
Wow.
The Gadir class is also about 95 foot long. It maxes out at 11 knots.
Okay.
For any of you land people, that's 13 miles per hour.
Okay, so
And there's 21
this is
active.
fascinating.
There's 21 that are active in the Iranian Navy. And the reason that they had to make these types of subs is because the Persian Gulf is so shallow. Average depth is only about 160 feet.
Wow.
Max depth, 300 feet.
Great. No.
Subs worldwide.
That's fascinating.
It is.
Okay. Maybe we should move on to that, like Zach facts.
Zach facts.
Zach facts.
Zach facts are so great.
Okay.
Cue the music.
All right. Disclaimer: we do not fact check any of the Zach facts. We take Zach at his word. We believe whatever he tells us to be true.
And that's the best way to approach this. So, unfortunately, I missed last week's episode. I had some really good Zach facts.
Oh.
This week, we've got...
You got very bad. You don't have very good ones this week.
He was telling me some of them for last week's. They are really good.
Oh, man. It's too bad that we're
You'll
just
have
going
to
to
hear.
tease this.
No, you'll hear them.
So we've got the top 5 Zach facts for Crimson Tide,
Okay.
a movie that I only watched 1 minute and 12 seconds of.
It's going to be all about the birthday party.
So sit back and on your way to work, enjoy these Zach facts. Number 5. We'll count down to number 1. Number
Okay,
5.
good.
So the movie was released on May 12th, 1995. Fact, it was the number 1 gift on my birthday list. All I wanted to do as a 7-year-old was see this movie.
Wow. That's a good Zach fact.
Did Doug take
Fact.
you?
Fact.
No.
What a letdown. Come on, Doug.
No, it's a shame. It's a shame.
I hope one of the other Zach facts is when you finally got to see the movie. But,
That's going to be in the future, I think.
Yeah, that'll be future.
oh, yeah, he hasn't seen it.
Okay. Zach fact number 4. Nicolas Cage helped Gene Hackman get over his fear of submarines to prepare for his role through heavy meditation. Fact.
I'm going to be honest with you.
Like I said,
don't believe that.
we take him at his word.
Okay.
We take
Okay,
him
never
at
mind.
his word.
Never mind. For the sake of this podcast, I do believe you.
Yeah. And this is also the
Great
year
fact.
Nick Cage made Leaving Las Vegas, and which he
Exactly.
won Best Actor for. So it's very believable.
Oh,
So Nick Cage was on his A game this year.
Yeah. And
also,
Gene,
do you know-
Gene Hackman's like, dude, I am so scared. I'm freaking out about getting on this submarine.
Do you know what film he was offered before he ended up choosing Leaving Las Vegas? He was offered the co-starring role in Dumb and Dumber with Jim Carrey.
Are you serious?
He was, yeah. He said, no, I'm doing Leaving Las Vegas. He wanted to do a
Thank-
smaller film.
Thank God.
I can't. Nick
That's
Cage.
all, that's all I
so-
can say about that.
Also, another actor in this movie that ties to that, Nick Cage was supposed to be Strider in Lord of the Rings.
Oh, that'd be awful.
Can you imagine?
Yeah. Nick Cage was supposed to be Superman, too.
Oh my word! Wait, the
He
newest
was
one,
supposed
like
to be
Man
Superman
of Steel.
too?
No, it was. You can look up pictures on Google, and it was like back in the early 2000s before they did that Kevin Spacey Superman movie.
What?
Yeah, the
I didn't know
Kevin.
that's
It was
a
supposed to be directed by Kevin Smith and have a fighting a big mechanical spider that was supposed to be like part of it.
Yeah.
You're being for real right now.
That's for real. And then that same producer
Dude.
made Wild Wild West that does have a mechanical spider in it.
Oh, yeah. You
With
go
Will
to the
Smith.
Wild Wild West.
Yeah. All right, so we got Zach Fact number 3. What do we got?
Number 3, Viggo Mortensen has said that this is what he wants to be remembered for. Fact.
Wow. He's like a youngster. He doesn't want to, not a history of violence? I feel like that's pretty good.
All right. Everything I've ever seen him in, I have enjoyed. Like, I can't think of a bad movie I've seen. I mean, he has a bunch of movies that I probably haven't seen, but everything I've seen has been really good.
I just realized I may have taken that Zach Fact a little too seriously.
It's okay.
Like, wait, what? Yeah.
I'm like, wait, what? No.
There's Zach
History of
Facts.
violence? Come on.
There's Zach Facts.
That's the nice thing about Zach Facts is that anyone can accept them in any way they want.
All right.
Up to your interpretation.
So yeah, they're up to your interpretation. That's what the shirt says. Next, number 2. Denzel might have enjoyed this movie more than any other film. Fact.
Wow.
That's a good fact.
That is a good fact.
I believe it.
Do you believe it? What else has he done? Do you think there's any other one he did that he would have enjoyed more?
Not than this. I mean, think about it. Like he said, he wanted to go toe-to-toe with a master.
So, like, Unstoppable with Chris Pine.
Well, yeah. When you think of, like the upper echelon of actors, Oscar winners, you're like, well, obviously
Hackman and Chris Pine,
Yeah, that should be a thing.
Those are the two that I can think of off the top of my head.
Yeah. Those are the first come to mind?
Yes, obviously. Chris Pine. If I had to choose one, it'd be Chris Pine. But 2, Gene Hackman and Chris Pine.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Ed Harris is also in History of Violence.
Great. Bringing it all
He's
together.
going to be a recurring thing.
I was gonna say, guys,
I thought he was Viggo Mortensen.
Are we connecting Ed Harris every time? I like it.
We probably should. Well, there will be some kind of connection. Oh, by the way, did you know that this extra in the movie is Ed Harris's niece's best friend? Oh, how cool.
This is how we bring Geostorm into it, too.
Yeah.
All right. This is a big one. What do we got?
The number 1 Zach fact from Zach watching 1 minute and 12 seconds of this movie is... This movie made Steve Zahn's career. Fact.
Yes.
I think that's
It's the beginning.
it's certainly the beginning, right?
Yeah, because he takes...
I actually don't know how old Steve Zahn could be, like 55 years old right now. He actually probably is, right?
I don't know. Let's look him up. But,
I
I mean,
got
he's
it.
got that scene, where they're trying to
When
fix
was that
the
thing
pipe.
you do? That was after, right?
He's 50.
Oh, wow.
1967.
Wow.
He's from Marshall, Minnesota. How
Oh,
close do you think that is to us?
I don't know, because we're not going to reveal where we live ever on this podcast.
Yeah, we'll just give you a... we don't know
I
who's
think we're
listening.
at least 1,000 or 2,000 miles away.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a ways off. That is...
All right.
That's... Holy cow, that's almost South Dakota.
Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is the Zach facts.
Jesus. I bet if you drive into that place, they probably have a big sign that says home of Steve
A
Zahn.
statue.
Yeah.
Dedicated to... And it's just like saving Silverman quotes.
Yeah.
You don't have to make the sound after you push the button.
It's a great movie.
Yeah.
Right. Those Zach facts were great.
Thank you.
I
Thank you.
wish we got to do them for Phantom.
I could do them right now. I got 5 more.
Well, we might want to save them.
Oh, yeah.
We might want to save just because time-wise.
For Phantom 2.
I feel like it's
Phantom
just one of the problems is this movie was so good. We wanted to talk about it a lot.
Yes. There
And we
was a
just
lot to
kept
talk
talking
about with this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With Phantom, it's like, and then things happen. They got attacked, and fuck it.
Yeah.
Then we moved on.
And I mean, but for the most part, Phantom really ripped this movie off.
yes.
And which is why that the director gave a big tribute to Tony Scott.
There's a bunch of scenes. The dinner scene, there's each scene you can kind of take from Phantom. You can
Yes.
correlate back to
Oh,
the
definitely.
scene that they have.
And
in
instead of
this movie.
drinking the whole time like they did in Phantom, Gene Hackman's just smoking cigars, which I don't think is probably
instead of-
ideal
yeah.
on a submarine.
Yeah,
But
instead of being I guess both him and David Duchovny, because they're kind of the correlating characters, right? Like
yes, they are.
David Duchovny is a giant dick face, and so is Gene Hackman. Great, perfect corollary.
Yeah.
Denzel Washington has no flaws because he's amazing and perfect,
Mm-hmm.
and then Ed Harris is literally
Epileptic,
giant
alcoholic,
mess. I mean, it's
killed people.
yeah. So,
yeah.
perfect correlation.
But he also ordered to seal the hatch, which Denzel did,
Yeah.
which we...
Oh, so you're saying that after this, that's what Denzel would become.
Is Ed Harris.
Yeah, he's gonna have epilepsy.
If there was
He's
Crimson
gonna
Tide. Or
Obviously.
what would they call it? What comes after Crimson?
After that makes no sense. After Crimson, what does that mean?
Another color. Burgundy Tide.
Okay.
Dark crimson.
That might be perceived incorrectly.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't say that, Zach.
Dark Crimson, starring Denzel Washington.
Like, oh no.
Now it looks bad. Now it sounds bad.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh yeah. Do we have any other? What do we have like for remaining? If we're gonna hit this 2-hour mark, we are gonna be in trouble. We can't have a 2-hour podcast.
Yeah, we can. Zach, you have a news article for us, don't you?
That I actually have two quick ones. Just so you know, if you're driving to work and you're listening to this podcast,
If you're driving for like an hour and a half to work.
you know that normal
Cross-country
commute
trip.
right? That normal commute that you make, and you're like, you know what? These guys are some really funny guys, but I want to hear about what's in the news. Well, this is your time. So, number one, have all of you heard about this submarine from Argentina?
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
It's real sad. It's almost as sad as the Tony Scott discussion we spent a lot of time talking about.
It is. It's very sad, and it's going to get even more sad. So,
Great.
it's most likely that we're all under the assumption that they're dead. Now it comes out that an explosion likely killed the crew of the Argentine submarine. This comes from the defense minister on December 5th, 2017.
I think we're probably going to be having him on the podcast next week, right? Is he our special guest?
The defense minister?
Of Argentina?
Yeah. This week was supposed to.
Oh, we're supposed to have the Secretary of Defense.
But he canceled.
Mad Dog,
Yeah,
he canceled. Because he couldn't get to the sub because we were submerged.
Yeah.
Well, if we do it, the defense minister is Oscar Agud.
Yeah, that's him. I've been texting with him all day. He says he's going to do it. We'll see, though.
Okay. Well, we hope that maybe the explosion didn't happen, but I'd say they're probably dead.
Well, it's not good. They called off. At first it was a rescue mission, and then they said after like days, it's no longer a rescue mission. Now it's just a search. We're trying to find it.
Yeah. So I have a question for you guys. Will this one day become a movie?
Definitely.
I think so. Kind of like the 33 or whatever, the Chilean mine one. Although that was a happy ending. They don't make a huge number of the terrible endings.
There's all right. So the Kursk sub incident. It was a Russian sub. This was in early 2000s. That's becoming a movie in 2018.
Oh.
Okay.
Great. Oh, Kursk.
Kursk.
Yeah. I thought you said cursed.
Cursed. No, Kursk.
Like a ghost sub. I was like,
Well, there's a
I'm
movie called
interested
Ghost
now.
Ship.
I know.
Less
It's
interested.
the ghost ship with the mo ship.
That's what it should be called.
Yeah.
All right. You said you had another article too?
One more?
Real quick, let me ask you a question, guys. Today is what?
Today is December...
Oh, it's Pearl Harbor Day.
7th. Yeah,
Oh.
Pearl Harbor Day.
You got it, Kyle. So here's a quick history fact. The USS Ward fired the first U.S. shots of World War II at Pearl Harbor. And I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
What did the USS Ward fire at?
Wouldn't it have been a Japanese bomber?
Wrong.
What did they fire at the USS Arizona because it was capsized? They're trying to save it.
Wait, they would
Wrong.
fire at it to save it?
I don't know. I was trying to think of outside the box.
Yeah, hold on. They're sinking. Let's sink them faster.
No, we
Yeah.
tip them over. Basically, it's like
it's
tipping
like a
over,
concussion blast.
and then it's
You
like
flip it.
and then you put it back and
Throw everybody on the land.
It's all I'm sure.
Now that sounds like a great.
It's a terrible idea.
It's just awful.
Well,
All
maybe you
right.
could put it in a movie or something.
What would it be called?
What, the movie?
The movie?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay. So the USS Ward. The USS Ward fired and sunk a Japanese midget submarine that was trying to sneak into the harbor.
Because that's what they do.
So-
That's why when I said harbor penetration, you're like, oh.
Yep. So that's That's a little bit of a fact for this December 7th, 2017 day.
How perfect was that?
That was great.
I mean, we're talking about the Gadir class midget subs. You just bring
Right?
that up.
So,
You have the most interesting IMDb facts,
yeah.
right?
So, and
There's some really good ones for this.
my background, I do have. You should really be calling me Dr. Jamie. I have a doctorate in bad movies, and
That is
I'm an
true.
expert. I have been watching bad movie every week for 7 years. Started in 2011, and I'm an expert for over 400 films at this point.
Oh,
Yeah, it's deep. And so most of my facts.
your wife is strong.
Yeah, most of the facts that I'm interested in have to do with that. So, interesting thing is that scenes from this, some of the submarine footage from this was actually reused in a different movie.
What?
So we're gonna see portions of this film again.
What movie were they reused in?
Mentioned before on this podcast, Agent Red, Dolph Lundgren, 2000.
Seriously?
So the interesting thing about that film also is that they had this director and they were filming this Dolph Lundgren submarine film. They got a final product. They sent it to the production company and they looked at it and said, "This is incomprehensible garbage. We cannot actually release this film." And so they brought someone else in who didn't film anything new. All he did was use scenes from other films and
Really?
cobbled together something to release. And apparently it is still incomprehensible. So I cannot wait until we're watching that film for this.
Wow. You'd be like, I know this scene.
Recap, we don't know what happened. Okay, moving on. And we just keep on going.
That's
But
crazy.
Agent Red and Dolph Lundgren, I'm pretty excited for it. That's 2000.
That sounds pretty great.
Yeah. So we'll get to see some scenes from that. Other than that, we talked a lot about the facts that were the most interesting during the podcast itself. The only thing that I think maybe needs some elaboration is just the fact that U.S. Navy was approached to be consultants and things on this film.
Right.
And they were not happy. Basically what happened is they did their first scouting in, I think, Louisiana or something. They went on a sub. They met with some people. And they set out what the plot of their movie was, right? And the plot at that point was there's a computer on a sub that goes rogue and is going to launch missiles, and everyone on the sub is working to stop the
That was the
computer.
very first plot?
Yeah, that was the plot.
Okay.
And when they came back to start the production, it had changed to what we see here with the mutiny and stuff. And the U.S. Navy was like, no, that is offensive and inaccurate. Like, we can't.
The mutiny is.
Yeah, we can't do that.
Right.
Like, everything about this movie now is, like, inaccurate. They were fine with it being a computer. They tried to explain, like, that doesn't make sense. Computer can't launch nukes. But, like, they were like, whatever, it's just silly.
But this is
stupid.
This is possible.
Yeah, so this, but
And
they
that's
said
why I
that-
think they said no.
and they were like, no, that's like offensive.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently what they were really like angry about was the guy who we see at the end as like a cameo, who was the advisor. He apparently kind of gave them that plot idea at some point once he was advising them.
Oh, okay.
And so it changed everything. So instead of using the U.S. Navy, who said like, hell no way, they had to use the French Navy. And that's why even in the beginning, they talk about being in the
yes.
French.
I'm somewhere
destroyer.
in the Mediterranean.
Right, yeah. So everything was kind of based around using the French.
That does make more sense. Did you have this one? This one I thought was very interesting
What's that?
because the U.S. Navy was not, didn't want anything to do with this movie. They wouldn't allow filming of submarines and that type of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And so Tony Scott and a film crew were following the USS Alabama in a helicopter.
I was actually confused by that fact because I was like, wait, I thought the U.S. Navy wasn't interested, but they were just following
They
it
were
around,
following
yeah.
it, and then the captain from the submarine sent a radio signal that said, "Stop following us," and they continued to film. But so to get away from them filming, the sub dived in the water, dived, and
I don't know what it is. I don't know which one.
and that is all that they were hoping to capture on film anyway.
So there we go.
Yeah.
Good on Tony Scott.
Yeah. And actually, I don't know if you have this one also or not, but because Quentin Tarantino did a lot of, the dialogue and stuff on the set.
Sure. Yeah, I saw this fact.
And Denzel confronted him about language that Quentin Tarantino uses in his films.
Right.
It was like screaming at him. And
What kind of
Tarantino was
language
like,
is it? What language though?
I'm not going to say it.
Well, I'm confused though. I don't know what
Yeah,
language it is.
racial language.
What is that? What?
Yeah, it's just offensive
I'm
stuff.
very confused though. I don't
Yeah,
know what it
you're
is.
not.
You got to be more specific, really.
You're not. If you're the doctor of bad movies, you know.
I'm not sure I understand though. You might be maybe just say the word.
No.
You
I'm not
can't?
gonna. No. Weird.
I don't know what it is. I guess I'm confused.
Yeah, but Denzel confronted him about it. Obviously he was not happy about it. And the whole set of this movie was built on a giant gimbal, kind of, which is like a big stage, so it'd rock back and forth. And this was on the making of the movie. Gene Hackman was talking about how hard it was to walk at times because, the whole stage would just be completely tilted, and you're having to try to walk uphill because it's made to...
And he was like 95 years old.
Yeah, he still is. It was made to, replicate what it would be like when you're diving or going up in a submarine.
I heard he's making a comeback.
Hackman?
Yeah, he's been retired for so long. Do you know what his last film is? It's like a common trivia thing.
Crimson
Was
Tide
it
2?
Shit. Who's the director of the Life Aquatic?
Oh no, it was not the Wes Anderson. It was not Royal Tenenbaums.
Okay.
No, so Royal Tenenbaums was second to last. It was Welcome to Mooseport, where he plays.
I think I saw
Ray Romano.
that.
With Ray Romano. That was the last one, and it's like a big trivia, right? What's the last film that?
I think
Gene Hackman
that's what
was
you
in?
want to go out on?
Right.
No.
So I heard rumor around the block was he was going to do another film, but he's been retired for like over a decade.
That was 2004.
Yeah, he's been retired for over a decade.
Wow.
Yeah. All right, we got any more segments, or what do we got?
I think
that
that's
it?
about it, really.
Whoa! Look at us.
Yeah.
2 episodes in.
Wow.
Over an hour and a half.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to find out whether I like this one more than the first episode, because I've listened to the first episode like 4 times.
Yeah. This one I feel like we're more passionate about.
I think so.
We're actually really digging into the movie. It's
I don't
pretty
think you know what. I'm not sure we're as funny. I think I could have used a couple more Gene Hackman dick references.
You could have.
Yeah,
There's-
I could have
there's
really
still
sprinkled
time.
those in.
Yeah. Get
Well,
them in there.
Did you see that other? Did you see the other making of film that they had?
Which one?
It was 13 Inches of Glory, the Gene Hackman story. It's about the making of the film.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
And how he was advocating that he wanted to do full frontal nudity.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, guys, look, I'm approaching 70.
Right.
It's about time I do this.
And it's what the people want. We give what the people want.
Yeah. Look,
I
just
heard
won
they
an Oscar.
sculpted. Go ahead.
The submarine. Just the submarine.
I was gonna say.
I know
heard
where
they
you're going.
sculpted it. Yeah. Yep.
I think, if you do look at it and you watch the extended unrated cut, I could see where you get that.
A dickish shape.
You really should have anticipated that would be a part of our lives with a submarine podcast. It's already phallic.
If you listeners are offended, you should have seen it coming.
Yeah, deal with it.
Just write in.
Yeah, right in.
Yeah.
Let's open this letter from this listener.
Yeah, we'll be taking letters to the listener. We got to get a P.O. box. I'm not giving out my home address.
Oh, come on.
Oh, all right. We'll give out Alex's, all right?
Ah.
He's not here to fight it.
The Mustard Man.
Yeah, send letters to the Mustard Man. Well, so I think we'd all, 2 of us who've seen it, highly recommend checking this movie out.
Yeah, 2 big thumbs up.
Even if you're not, it's a sub-movie, but even if it wasn't a sub-movie, I'd highly recommend watching this.
It's eminently
great.
rewatchable. Like I'm going to be on an airplane tomorrow. Like I might just bust it out. I still have it on my phone. Just bust it out and watch it.
You should.
Yeah.
It's that good.
It's really good. Next week,
and
next
I
week
will
we're going to do a
watch
bad
it.
one though.
I think so. I think next
Gotta do
week
that one.
is Down Periscope.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was what I was thinking. You're reading my mind. Oh, Down Periscope. I was going to argue for that one.
Hey, you don't got to argue very hard.
Well, there we go. Down Periscope. I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, you sound like it.
I am.
That's the most excited you've been all night.
Well, I see. The thing is I have I don't know if I mentioned I have a PhD in bad movies.
Yeah.
It's badmovietwins.com.
Yeah.
But
And by the way, I want to give you guys a plug. Big shout out to Patrick,
yeah.
who is over the lake, as they say. Just kidding, just across the pond.
Yeah.
He's in the UK. It's Jamie's twin brother. He put together a bunch of information for us on this movie. Just want to give a big shout out. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we use our algorithms we use for our website to kind of just throw some of this information our way.
But these are good movies, not bad
Right.
ones.
So some of the information we have is not really applicable to a film like this. But down Periscope, they're applicable. Don't worry about it. Yeah. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah. Well, guys, thank you very much for listening.
Yeah.
Next episode, the gang will discuss Down Periscope.
Kelsey Grammer stick.
Can't wait.
Stick.
His Kelsey Grammer stick.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what Jamie will be discussing.
Right.
Probably about 30, 45 minutes.
Right. It is weird when he pulls it out in that movie.
Guys, could we try to get Kelsey Grammer on the show?
I mean,
It's going to be really tight with the, secretary of whatever from Argentina.
And I'm sure the Secretary of Defense is going to want to reschedule. So.
Yeah.
But we'll see what we can do.
I'm pretty sure he's dead, right?
Kelsey Grammer?
Isn't that? Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I just saw him in one of the Transformer films. I don't know if the latest one.
I saw him as a bad guy in something.
Mm-hmm. Okay, wait a minute. I made a joke because I literally thought he was dead.
Click. Oh, no. Are you kidding me? His wife's on like one of. Oh no, I think he just got divorced.
He's only 62.
That's sad. But
yeah.
I think he was seen on like one of those housewife shows all the time.
What?
His wife was on one of them.
Really? What a sweet guy. Yeah. Look at you, Zach, trying to make a dead joke.
I did try to make a dead joke. I thought he was dead. I don't know why. Probably Twitter.
So we keep trying to end this podcast, and then we can't because we keep on thinking about Kelsey Grammer. And, Alrighty.
Okay.
All right, on that note, let's call
On the note that Kelsey Grammer is not dead, informing everyone.
Fact.
Thanks for listening to Submersion. Find us on SoundCloud and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.